So, first of all, Mr. Andriy Sadovyi, the mayor of Lviv. Mr. Rafał Trzaskowski, the mayor of Warsaw. Ms. Linda Ozola, vice mayor of Riga. And Mr. Mihhail Kõlvart, the mayor of Tallinn. So, Champion Cities. Has the last year changed the agenda of all of you as the city leaders in terms of international cooperation with the cities in Ukraine, and by how much and when did it start? When did you feel that this is becoming your daily agenda already? Remigijus, why don't we start from you? You went to Kiev just a few days before the war erupted. When did you start feeling this is becoming a real agenda for the city of Vilnius? You as a mayor, never mind it was becoming a global issue of concern for all of us as individuals.
Thank you, Antanas. First of all, if you brought ourselves 1 year from now, 1 year ago, it was very clear that me as a mayor, I was asked quite frequently if something happens in Ukraine, so are we ready to help? And we, of course, calculated during January 2022 how much help we can provide from medical perspective, from housing perspective. And I had always very clear answer. I knew the numbers, but I didn't tell the numbers. I'm telling that we are ready to help as much as there is a need. It just depends on what conditions. And so I'm ready. I was ready like a month before invasion for the help. Actually, I don't remember this like month dates, but in week dates, we had a conversation with Vitaly Klitschko on Friday before invasion. And he says, you know, it looks like something may happen. Maybe it's time to come. We had this conversation with Dagur. Dagur, unfortunately, got COVID and was not able to come. I was still hesitating, but when on Sunday, Putin delivered his infamous speech telling his version that there is no such thing as Ukrainian nation. So on Monday, we went to Ukraine to show this moral support. You know, this moral support was of this importance, as we understood after this quick invasion, but it helped us to mobilize and to get other response on international scale as well. So again, we did everything what is possible, and I think it's our duty to do it in the future as well.
You've been there 10 days before the war started. Did you know by then the magnitude and nature of support the city of Warsaw will be called for?
Well, first of all, hello. Thank you very much for inviting me to Vilnius. Thanks a lot. And I wanted to tell you that for us, the war started like for the Ukrainians, 2014. And we were helping from the outset because we knew that Putin will not stop there. And we were telling all of our friends in Europe that the war is being waged and that our friends in Europe were making huge mistakes for years. And they were telling me that, you know, we were obsessed with Russia. Now, those conversations are not that pleasant because, of course, everyone is saying that we were right, but this is a pretty bitter pill to swallow. Yes, we were there 10 days before the war with my friend, the mayor of Prague, bringing support from the Pact of Free Cities. And, of course, we knew that something was brewing up. And no one could have envisaged a full-out war. We thought that we were going to have another hybrid war of sorts. So we were all surprised by what happened, the magnitude of it. But we were ready to help from day one. And we had a crisis meeting a day before the war started. So we were prepared. We had plans, contingency plans. So when the war actually started, the same day we were on the railway stations organizing those welcoming points and welcoming migrants. And I wanted to tell you just one thing. I was a Minister of European Affairs in 2015. Europe was panicking. It didn't know what to do with the Mediterranean crisis. We had 200,000 people coming to Europe, the whole continent, a month. And everyone was panicking. I remember the European Council meetings. They didn't know what to do. And we had 300,000 people coming to Warsaw, one city alone in 3 weeks. And we were ready to help. And it was not easy. We were spending days and nights on railway stations, just as our Ukrainian friends and our friends from all over the region. And we will keep on doing it. But of course, that means that we need to stand united and that we need to stay tough and that we need to start fighting the fatigue in some of our countries, because I think that many of our friends in Western Europe think that, you know, it's not our game anymore. These guys are losing lives for the values that we talk about every day. This is our war, and we should be doing our bit, and that's the feeling in Warsaw. That's why it's so easy to mobilize the people. And what you've seen was the ordinary people in the streets. It was not governments. It was the non-governmental organizations. And that's exactly what we need to keep on doing if we want to prove Putin wrong. And the last sentence, every crazy dictator in the world is watching, whether we can stay united, whether we can be tough, and whether we can be true to our values. So this is one of the biggest tests ever. So we better pass that test.
How did it feel there on the ground? When did you start feeling the support of sister-brother cities was really one important source of strength you could rely on? How did it show? What worked? What kind of support really worked on the ground?
Good afternoon, unbroken mayors, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the invitation. During presentation, you show old photo about Baltic Way, human line from Vilnius through Riga to Tallinn. We had in Ukraine very similar human line from Lviv through Kiev to Kharkiv. All time, Baltic countries and Poland inspired us, all time. But today, Ukrainian people, Ukrainian soldiers inspired all democratic country. After 23 February, my life changed. This one part before, next part today. 10.5 years ago, Lviv hosted Euro football championship. Today, Lviv, huge hub. 5 million IDPs passed through Lviv during invasion. We had days when Lviv hosted more than 2 million IDPs per day, per weeks, and every day Lviv hosted new wounded, civilian wounded, soldiers. Together, my municipal hospital hosted during Russian invasion 11,000 wounded, 11,000. I remembered my conversation with a young girl, 11 years old. She lost both legs. And father, I must think about future for my new citizens. I must think about surgery, about temporary prosthetics, permanent prosthetics, about psychological, physical, social rehabilitation. I must think about new accommodation, new job, physical activity. But together with my colleague, with my partners, we built ecosystem rehabilitation unbroken. This huge ecosystem. Together with Mayor of Warsaw, together with Mayor of Freiburg, Mayor Wrocław, a lot of new friends. You can join in. It is very, very important for Ukraine, for our future. But I remember my first weeks after Russian invasion. Mayor of Wrocław very quickly called me and asked, "You already support? We have Zoom with Mayor Vilnius, and 2 weeks after Russian invasion, Mayor of Tallinn arrived to Lviv." I'm shocked. It's you brave man. And I feel maximum support for a lot of people in world. This war, it's not a Russian-Ukrainian war. This war, it is democratic totalitarian war. I believe in our victory. I believe, but we together. Never give up, only victory. Thanks.
So when you went there to Lviv, what was the pre-work? What historical nature of cooperation contacts did you have, and how did you put yourself together to go there, and what was in your initial package of help you have offered when you went for that trip?
First of all, for Estonia, the beginning of a war was very symbolic because 24th February is the Independence Day of Estonia. So it was very painful for us because of our friends in Ukraine and because of our feelings. Actually, we have some historical background of our relation with Ukrainian cities. We have sister cities as Kiev and Odessa. And from the first days, we started to help them by humanitarian aid. And one day, my colleague, Mr. Sadovyi, called me. It was our first connection. We didn't talk before, and asked so how Tallinn in this situation can support Lviv. In the same time, I decided that I have to go to the Lviv to see by my eyes what happened. And first thing, what I saw, people, brave people, really brave people. I visited in the beginning of January Ukraine again, Zhytomyr, and again the same feeling. I saw heads of different municipalities. I saw heads of schools, university, kindergartens, and all of them are very brave. I didn't see during my life, all my life, so many brave people. And they're brave not because they're physically strong, because of their hearts. And this is a very special feeling. But if you talk about the future, so I think in the future, help of the European cities to Ukraine must be more systematic. So now, yes, of course, our reaction, I think the reaction of many European cities were very fast. So we started to receive people from Ukraine from the first day. After 3 days, we opened a refugee center. So we did it faster than any state department. And then we invite our colleagues from state departments to our refugee center. But this is first reaction. Now we have to understand two things. First, the people who came to our city, to Tallinn, to other cities, from the day when they came to Tallinn, they are our people. And many of them, they will stay in our cities, many of them. So I think we have to understand it. and it's normal. So we have to think about long-term integration of those two people. It's not very easy. Today, we have to prepare for them all those possibilities what local people have. We start from the education and finish by housing. Different things, but integration is a very long term. And next, or other long term, is the reconstruction of Ukraine. So
let's talk about reconstruction efforts
reconstruction
in
of Ukraine have to be more systematic than this help what we give them today. It must be more systematic and more centralized. Because now we send, during this year, we send it foods, ambulance cars, buses, different things to different municipalities, only Tallinn. Mm-hmm. But this is a little bit chaotic.
But
in the future, if we talk about the reconstruction, if we talk about the government models, if we talk about the green transition, we have to give to our friends complex decisions, complex models, and not with the same mistakes what we did during preparation of our view of, for example, the green transition. So, and we have to centralize this help.
By nature, the cities each of you are running, your teams are running, will be facing more and more emergencies, unpredictable events which are coming from somewhere else, economic, health, ecological. Does that mean that each city should have a universal emergency management task force, department, which is immediately available to address your need for systematic approach to these situations, to be available to address a variety of such possible emergencies?
Well, this is the conclusion I came to working with civil defense issues at the Riga City Council, actually. But before I dive into this subject, since we have a birthday child among us, let me bring our heartfelt regards from all Rigans to our brothers and sisters in Vilnius, and also from our mayor who couldn't come, unfortunately. So, dear Braliukai, su gimta diena. Well, indeed. Also in Latvia, the first question you asked was about when we started supporting Ukraine. It was, I think, back in 2014. As a country, when we helped recovery of those people who were hurt in the war, 2014. And also, what was very important for us as a city, that we accepted Ukrainian children in our families to help them recover, because we have to take care of those who will take care of us later on. And if we don't take care of them, they will not take care of us later on. So, and then right before the war, before 24th of February, I think it was a week before that special day, that we had a support demonstration at the Freedom of Monument, organized by the Riga City Council. We hoisted the Ukrainian flag at the city council a few days before the war. So I think all these symbolic actions were very important. And what this war has taught us is to get rid of fences, different kind of fences. My experience from the Riga City Council, we are working in coalitions. And you know, different political parties, they compete. In the civil administration, different departments, different institutions, they compete among themselves, which is not a good thing, because it's not always leading to a good result. But this, the conditions of war next to our border made us get rid of all these fences and keep in mind only one, which is really important. We have to have a big red fence, that was the line that Remigijus showed in his presentation, which we need for our security, and that's the only thing that counts. So what this year has changed is the way we cooperate inside the Riga City Council, politically, in the administration area as well. It has changed how we as a municipality, the biggest municipality in the country, cooperate with the national institutions and our ministries, and how we cooperate all together with our NGOs. It has really totally changed the mindset with reference to the previous presentation. And I think it has changed also the way cities and city managements see the cooperation also in future. Your question that you asked about these emergency teams or units or structures or institutions that need to be ready, indeed, that's what we are doing in Riga. I saw what were the weak points of crisis management in the capital city, and the capital city must be, well, a very big share in the national security. I'm aware of the responsibility that lies on the capital city. So, and when analyzing how we worked through all the procedures and seeing how crucial was the role of the politician in the position, in doing the right thing, or not doing the right thing, or not doing anything at all. I was really slightly worried, actually, because politicians come and go, and not always they are really, not always, unfortunately, that's also has been our experience in Latvia, not always they're as dedicated as to take care of our national security. And what I want when I leave my position as a politician in the city management is that crisis management in the capital city of my country is in really safe hands. And that those are experts and professionals doing that. And that it's not left to politicians who can be on the right side. And I'm very happy to be among my colleagues here. But we can't afford the risk. We just can't afford the risk.
Thank you. Now, hopefully, this war is coming to an end soon, and coming to an end with a clear victory. While the cities in Ukraine have to deal with emergencies, sirens, humanitarian crisis, massive migration of refugees, people, how much of your daily work can you dedicate to that next phase of planning restoration of a normal life? And what kind of support the sister cities can start offering already now in this regard?
Globally, we need tank Leopard, we need system Patriot, we need new jet, we need new military equipment. We must very quickly deoccupy our territory. It is very, very important, but every day in my city I have funeral ceremony. Young people. It's very, very tough moment for me. Very often journalists ask me, how long are you able to fight? Ukrainian army, not in only 500,000 soldiers. Ukrainian army, 40 million people. And first of all, we must deoccupy our territory, victory, next time build new country, new architecture project, new experience, and I think we will have good collaboration with my colleague mayors, European world cities. Before Russian aggression, we started build ecosystem resilience. And we maximum prepare my city Lviv to Russian invasion, but we rebuilt 500 municipal location for IDPs, and today we prepare new location, but very difficult predict future. We built alternative system transmit water to city without electricity. It's very interesting job. I think my experience very interesting for you. I am ready to share this information. But I think only about victory. And every day, Tallinn, Riga, Vilnius, Warsaw send humanitarian support to different cities. But 85% humanitarian support my city sent to Mykolaiv, to Kherson, to Kharkiv. Together, we huge family. It is very, very special moment for our democratic. I am optimist. I believe it is my fundament. Together, we will have huge victory. Thanks.
What kind of support can we pledge today in terms of city level, not national level, but city level support to another city in Ukraine when it comes to the reconstruction victory phase?
Well, I mean, the most important problem is that we need to start thinking long term, because what you've seen was this incredible mobilization of the people, NGOs, and so on and so forth. And of course, we started sending humanitarian aid on day one of the crisis, which wasn't easy. But we had this special arrangement with the Ukrainian railways, and we were able to informally, because we know how to do it in the post-Soviet space. It's enough to speak Russian a bit, to start sending humanitarian aid to our friends. But of course, that's not enough, and we cannot improvise anymore. And the real problem is, guys, that there was a lot of improvisation everywhere. The European Union was not ready to react as quickly as it should have. I've seen American money on the ground much sooner than any European money. And my heart bleeds because I'm a convinced European and I spent 20 years doing European policy. So now we need to start thinking long term. First of all, about our own cities, because many of our Ukrainian friends will stay for some time, and for quite a long time, because before Ukrainian cities are being rebuilt. So we need to be ready for that. In Warsaw alone, we had something around 150,000 refugees still staying. And there is a revolving door. They keep coming and going. And of course, a lot depends on the situation in Ukraine. So again, when someone asks me, how can we help? I use Andriy's line and I say, send weapons to Ukraine. Because otherwise, there will be escalation and on the Russian side, and this war will go on and on and on. Which means that we need to have a long-term strategy in our cities, but we also have to have a long-term strategy for our Ukrainian friends, for our Ukrainian cities. So we have to move on beyond humanitarian aid and sending generators and so on and so forth, and think about long-term. What's long-term? Projects like the one that was just mentioned, Unbroken. So if our friends are creating ecosystems which will help them deal with the situation for years, that's where we should come in, and that's where we should help. Second is, of course, the question of restoration of Ukraine. We've started in the Pact of Free Cities a project which we call House of Ukraine, where we put experts together and we start planning for the future. We started, for example, filling in UNESCO applications for some of our Ukrainian cities, our friends, so that they can be protected. We were sending a lot of materials to protect heritage, but we should start thinking about what to do next. And another thing is, and I've told you that I spent 20 years of my life doing European policy, is helping them out when it comes to the European perspective. Guys, I mean, the European Union is fantastic at promising things. How long does it take? Look at the Thessaloniki summit. 2003, the Balkans will enter the European Union. Have you been following it? 20 years later, they're not still in there. So what we should be doing is speeding up the process, preparing our Ukrainian friends to use and absorb the European money. Change the procedures in the European Union, because these guys have absolutely no clue what will need to happen. I mean, if they stick to their procedures, there will be no money for Ukraine, which is really needed. We should be spending money differently, and we should start lobbying for that. And of course, using our experience also to prepare our friends for the hardships of accession process. This is a torturous process. We know how to do it, and we should be doing it with our Ukrainian friends and within the European Union, rattling all the bells so that our friends and we are prepared for what's in store. And last thing is, this is not our competence, guys. Cities are not really responsible for dealing with pandemics, with wars, with energy crisis, and so on and so forth. Yet, all the responsibility is shifted our way by our wonderful governments. So guess what? You want us to do that? Start financing cities directly with EU money. Just a little bit, 5%, 10% out of national envelopes, and I guarantee one thing. It's not going to get wasted, because we really know how to spend the money, and it's going to be spent in a way which is going to create synergies with our Ukrainian friends. So one message, to drive and take it back home, direct financing for the cities in the European Union and in Ukraine.
From Riga, we have the political support for this initiative, and we have expressed it several times. Of course, the first and the most important thing, as the mayor of Lviv said, is military support to win the war. That's why also Latvia, understanding the significance of this issue, delivered the first military support on the 23rd of February, because we know why we have to do that. But then, of course, we will never be able, as a city, give as much money as all the international financial institutions do, of course. But then, but we have the experience and we have the know-how, as the Warsaw mayor said already, and we can share that. We will take the best what we can, also from the Ukrainian experience after the victory, how to make our cities secure, because you will have the top-notch experience. Nobody in the world will be able to compete with you in the coming future. But we will give you our experience on how we work with our communities to make them resilient. Because I think we are very motivated in this panel, reflecting also the geographical area, that we want to make this a very secure region in Europe, and a prosperous and a creative region. And we have all the motivation for that, because with reference to Remigijus' presentation, with this Soviet heaven that dawned upon us in those 50 years of occupation, we don't want that. We don't want that, and we don't want that with every blood piece of our flesh. So we are very, very much motivated to create a really secure and safe and prosperous and creative heaven in this region of Europe.
Remigijus, there is quite a bit of speculation about the next professional steps you will embark on your exciting journey. Would you care to go to help reconstruction of Ukraine for a while?
You know, I will tell you about my dream at the end of my intervention, and this is somehow related a little bit. You know, when we talk now about next step, you know, this long run and short run. And of course, there is no long run without short run victory. And we have to focus on this, and leopards and everything is of the most important. But you know, I would like to refer to two other people right now. One is like one of Lithuanian rock star. Those of you who are Lithuanians, you know, it's Svaras. We were like once traveling through Lithuanian schools, encouraging school children to be more politically and civically active. And he told a very nice comparison. He says, you know, I know at least half a dozen of people, or young people, who are ready to die for motherland immediately, now. But I know much less people who are ready to help their mother to wash dishes. And that's a kind of an issue. Because, you know, of course, it's 40 million Ukrainians who are fighting in the army, but in fact, it's 500,000 who are actually fighting in the front line. And the question is, what others are doing and what we are doing, because you have more than 40 million in the army, you have all free world in the army. But what we are doing, we have to do something. Even if we are not dying in the front line, so what we do? What do we do? And this is a very important question. And then part of the answer is that yes, we also have not just to provide shelter for refugees, this is a minimum. Not just to provide the humanitarian aid, it's also minimum. We have to do something more. And part of this something more is even also to plan for the better future. As I mentioned before, again, Goliath was beaten by David. That's a great victory of David, but David was great not just because he beat Goliath, but because he was a great king afterwards. He led the nation to prosperous life. So this is the strategy, not just the first thing. And you know, when a couple of months ago, I participated in a strategic session on how to rebuild one of Ukrainian cities, how to reshape and rebuild, and the city is not some of these like cities of eastern borders where we have heavily damaged. It's not even Kherson. It's about Mariupol. We had a strategic session here in Vilnius how to rebuild Mariupol, how to change it, how to find life in new circumstances, because circumstances are completely different. And you know, this is a good reminding of us that yes, we have to plan for the future success. And in this case, what dream I have is, you know, when we talk a lot about how to reshape cities, how they should look differently, how our kindergartens and schools should look differently, how our streets should look differently, when we start talking about nice streets and kindergartens, about Ukraine, suddenly Lithuanians got jealous. Okay, we also want this kind of things. So I have a dream that Ukraine will have a rebirth. It will not be just reconstruction, because reconstruction is basically having the same as it was, just maybe in a better shape. But I'm so inspired that all the people I talk from Ukraine, they want to have better Ukraine than before. Better. It's not clear the exact vision, what does it mean better? But I think it's very important to decide it now, because you may make huge mistakes if you do not decide. What kind of country better? And start doing this. Because you know, after war, it will be a typical problem. Fast, cheap, and inexpensive. How to do all of this? It's impossible. And it's important to decide on this. So I think it's important to decide that fast doesn't always mean it's good. Because sometimes building a new school in Lviv is more urgent than rebuilding some school in eastern Ukraine. Because there are more children in Lviv now and overload in Lviv in comparison to eastern Ukraine. So I think this is very, very important. Okay, we all of us got an experience on how to be occupied by Soviets, how to rebuild, how to catch up. Our experience is maybe a little bit better, but the spirit of Ukraine is better. So a combination of this, I think it may have a tremendously good result. And we're looking for inspiration from Ukraine. And up to now, for me, as in this position, in whatever position, I mean, my passion is to help to rebuild Ukraine in a better way. So all good luck. Keep on. And then we are with you in rebuilding efforts as well.
Mihhail, let's do the last round of pledges in consideration of the time limitations. What do we pledge from the city of Tallinn to the cities or a particular city in Ukraine for this year?
Actually, I saw it was final speech. But I have some very concrete remarks. First of all, we have to be ready to concentrate our resource. So nothing to do. We understand that crisis now is everywhere. So it means that we don't have so much resources from cities. So if we want to help effectively, we have to coordinate our resources. So, for example, in Estonia, we initiated from Tallinn, and me as a head of a union of Estonian municipalities, money collection to buy generators. Because we buy from Tallinn some generators, but it's not enough. So, and I asked our colleagues from all Estonian municipalities to collect all together this money, only for generators. Of course, we have different partners and we send different humanitarian aid, but sometimes it's very important to concentrate this aid. And there is one problem, of course, the procedure of procurement in Europe. It takes so much time. And as we know, during the COVID, it was easier to buy different things what we need according to the crisis. I think now we have also crisis and bureaucracy have to be more faster. So, and second remark, so during last years, actually we had many lessons and lessons for European cities. So we need to have in our government structure special departments for the crisis. We have to renew our structure of government to be more ready for the crisis. And it's true, Ukraine can help us to be more ready for different crises and nothing to do also for the war crisis, because we don't know what to expect from the future. And yes, I agree with my colleagues. We talk about in all European conference that cities are expect direct support from European Union. But because all of us are not very happy about our relation with state government, it's normal. All municipalities are not happy with relation with government. But this is mean that it is a decentralization process in a state level. If we have a direct connection with European Union, European Commission, but in the same time it means centralization in the European level. So this is a very important processes, yeah, but those processes are very difficult. And if we talk about the support, and if we have holistic model of reconstruction of Ukrainian cities, or for example, holistic model of a green transition, so we need to have also holistic model of financing, not like different topics separate. It's possible to create a holistic model only with a holistic system of financing. So this is, I think, very important message also to European Commission. So, and yes, I think also that it's sometimes it's better to do it from the cities. So if European cities with experience, with knowledges, will receive financial support from European Commission to implement holistic models of reconstruction with holistic model of financing. So this is one of the ways how to help more systematically in the future.
Thank you, Mihhail. I was told you have a plane to catch, but now I know you want to stay over to party tomorrow. So let's continue with much shorter pledges in a quick round, if I may.
Everything that we have done so far, we promise not to get tired helping and supporting you on the city government level, on the level of our inhabitants, and I assume also on the national level, pretty sure, but I can speak on the behalf of Riga. We will not get tired helping you until the victory.
Remigijus.
I talked about strategy and reconstruction, but now I want to come back to this short term about winning. I must say that this honor we got from President Zelensky is a huge inspiration for us to stay on the front runners of helping, and I'm really convinced that it's the inspiration not just for me, but for all citizens of Vilnius. So thank you again for being so brave and for acknowledging the help which you get. This encourages us even more. So you will win, no doubt.
Rafał.
Well, we will keep on helping as long as it is needed. Support unbroken in Lviv. This is important. And the last thing I want to say, guys, you know, Putin miscalculated on two fronts. First of all, he thought the Ukrainians will be divided and they are strong and they will win the war. And secondly, our relations were not that easy between Poland and Ukraine, between Poland and Lithuania. We are in Vilnius. And he thought that he could divide us. And we were never so strong. We were never so much together as we are now. We are creating those bonds that are absolutely changing history in this part of Europe. And that's one of the biggest defeats of Putin. Already, he lost.
Thank you for support yesterday, today, and tomorrow. You have my invitation. I love you. Thanks.
Thank you all. Thank you all for mobilizing your cities. Thank you for standing strong in this battle. One victory is clearly here. The next victory, hopefully, is coming very soon. Champions are never there alone. Champions are only true champions when they are together.